cross it this way, hold on to it, take your hook and put it through this part, pull your yarn out this way and hold it so that you're able to hold your yarn however way you like to hold it. So there we have our magic ring. Now we're going to be doing 2 chains. This doesn't count as a stitch. We're going to be doing 1 double crochet, chain 1, 1 double crochet, chain 1, 1 double crochet, chain 1. So I'd advise at this point, tighten your magic ring, put that tail aside, then chain 1, then on top of the first double crochet of this row, make a slip stitch like that. That's the first row. Now do a slip stitch into the first chain space in here, make a slip stitch, then 2 chains, it never counts as a double crochet, yarn over, go into that chain, pull through, go through 2 and go through 2. That's your first. Going to be doing another double crochet. Yeah, chain 1 and go into the next chain space with 2 double crochets. Chain 1, go into the next chain space with 2 double crochet, chain 1. To the last one, we're going to do 2 double crochets, chain 1, and you go on top of the first double crochet of this row, make a slip stitch like that. There we go. So you're going to do a slip stitch into the next double crochet and into the next chain space, do a slip stitch 2. Now chain 2, yeah, never counts as a double crochet, chain 2, and we're going to do 3 double crochets into every chain space, 3 double crochets. There we go. 1, 2, 3, and chain 1, 1, 2, 3, chain 1, 1, 2, 3, chain. And this is the last chain space for the row. We're going to do 3 double crochets inside that space and chain 1, and into the first double crochet of the row we're going to make slip stitch, slip stitch into the next double crochet, slip stitch into the next double crochet, slip stitch into the next chain space, chain 2. This next row we're going to be doing 4 double crochets into every chain space round. So this is 1 double crochet, 2, 3, and 4. Chain 1 into the next 1, 2, 3, and 4. Chain 1. 2, never counts as a stitch. On this row we're going to be doing 6 double crochets all around into every chain space. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Chain 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Chain 1. So we're moving into the last chain stitch of that row. So I'm doing my 6 double crochet, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So chain 1 and into the first double crochet of that row, make a slip stitch. Do a not so tight slip stitch until we get to the next chain space of that row. Here we are. Yes, chain 2, never counts as a stitch. So we're going to do 3 double crochets in this chain space, chain 1, and in between. So we have 6 double crochets here, so count 1, 2 and 3. Yeah, and in between the third double crochet and the first double crochet, insert your hook and make a double crochet. Make 3 double crochets in that space, like that. Chain 1, make 3 double crochets in this chain space. Chain 1, make 3 double crochets in between the third and the fourth double crochet stitch of the 6th double crochet stitch in the previous row. I hope you understand that. So 1, 2, 3, in between the third and the fourth one, make 3 double crochets. 1, 2 and 3. Chain 1. So this, I've done it into the last chain stitch of the previous row, and we're going to be doing it doing 3 double crochets in the between the third and the fourth space of the 6 double crochets of the previous row. So that's it for this row. So just like we do, make slip stitches into double crochets that follows and into the chain space. For the next row, we're going to be making 4 double crochets each into every chain space of the previous row. 4 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're doing the last 4 double crochets in the last chain space here. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Chain 1 and slip stitch on the top of the first double crochet of that row. As always, slip stitch, slip stitch, slip stitch until we get to the chain space here. Chain 2, not a stitch, doesn't count as a stitch. Now we're going to do the same thing that we did for the previous row. 4 double crochets in each chain space of this row. 4 double crochets all around. Let's do that. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Chain 1, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Chain 1. We are at the last chain space of this row, and we're going to do 4 double crochet into the chain space. That's the last 4 double crochet. Chain 1 and into the top of the first double crochet of the row, make a slip stitch. Do a slip stitch like that until we get to the chain space. Chain 2. This does not count as a double crochet, so we're going to do 3 double crochets in this space. 3 double crochets here. 1, 2 and 3. Chain 1, and just like we did in this row, we're going to do the same thing here. So we're going to do 3 double crochets in between the second and the third double crochet here, in between here, in between this and this, in between this and this, the second and the third stitch. So 3 double crochets in between the second and the third stitch of the 4 double crochets of the previous row. Hope you understand. So we'll go into this chain space, the next chain space, and we're going to make 3 double crochets. Yeah, chain 1. Now you're going to skip this cluster, and we're going to go into the next chain stitch and make 3 double crochets. Chain 1 into this one, into this space. You're going to make 3 double crochets. Doing, yeah, chain 1, and into the next chain space we will make 3 double crochets. Chain 1, you're going to skip this 4 double crochet cluster and go into the next chain space and make 3 double crochets. So it means we're putting 3 double crochets into one cluster and skipping the next cluster. We're putting 3 double crochet into one cluster and skipping the next cluster. So the next cluster here, we're going to be making 3 double crochet in between the second and the third stitch. We're going to chain 1 and go into the next chain space here, and we're going to make 3 double crochets. Chain 1. So this is the last chain space for that row. I've made 3 double crochet, and then I've done my chain 1, and I'm going to slip stitch into the first double crochet of that row, and there we are. This is what we have. I'm going to do slip stitches until we get to this chain space. So for this row, we're going to chain 2. I've done that already. I've always said this doesn't count as a stitch, so we're going to be doing 3 double crochets into every chain space until we reach the end of the row. 3, 1. So it's 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochet, chain 1. So we are coming up to the last chain stitch of this row. So this is the last chain stitch, and I've done my 3 double crochets, chain 1, and I'm going to do a slip stitch on the top of the first double crochet of that row, like that. Now this is what we have now. So it's time to do the body of the cap. Now we're going to repeat this row that we just finished for a total of 10 or 11. It depends on how deep you want your cap to actually get. So for me, since I already have this one, I'm going to do 10 more rows. 10 more rows of this particular line. So I'm going to do one more row so that we remember what we're going to do for the next 10 or 11 rows. Now I just said you can do 10 rows, 10 more rows, you can do 11 more rows. So if I do 10 more rows of this particular row, it's going to give me 11 rows. So if you do 11 more rows, it's going to give you 12 more rows. Now that we're here, we're going to do our normal 2 chains, and we're going to do 3 double crochets inside this chain space. Chain 1 and do 3 double crochets, chain 1, and we're going to repeat this for a total of 11 or 10 rows. This was the last row of the top of the hat. So from this point I have done 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11. So I have done 11 rows so far, and I'm closing in on the last row. So let's do that together. Chain 1 1 2 and 3, chain 1. So we do a slip stitch into the first double crochet of the row. So this is where we begin the part where we add the ruffles of the hat, just like this one. This part is what we're going to do next here. So it depends on how big you want your ruffles to be. You can have the first row for 4 double crochet in one space. You can have 5 double crochets in one space. Depends on how ruffled you want it to be. This is one, it's ruffled and it's single stranded. This is another one. It's quite ruffled, but not just very big. And this is another one. This is quite ruffled and actually big. So it depends on how big and ruffled you want your hat to be. Okay, so for the ruffle row, I like to kind of change hook. So I'm moving from my my 3.5 and I'm moving on to my 4.0. Just one size of hook. So it has this fluffiness to it. It's not so tight. So we're going to do 4 double crochets in each space. So as you can see, it's already starting to curl up by itself. See, the ruffles are started, the work has started. So we're going to go ahead to do 4 double crochets in each space, and including the chain space, including this chain space, so don't miss it. So let's go round and I'll be back. I'm done with the first row of 4 double crochets in every stitch all around This is how it is right now. This is what it looks like so far. So I'm going to join this, and then I'll move on to the second row of the ruffles. So I'm going to do a slip stitch on the first double crochet here. So in the same double crochet stitch, I'm going to be doing 2 double crochets each all around round. Now at this point you can do 3 double crochets just to do a countdown, but for me I would like to do just 2 double crochets, and then I do 1 and then I close up. So the second row, I'm going to be doing 2 double crochets in each of the double crochet stitches here. So 2 double crochets each. The next one, 1, 2, and then the next stitch, 1 and 2, and next stitch, 1 and 2 and 2. So keep going until we come back to this point. See you. We're done with the ruffle. I just did 3 steps. You can do more than that if you like. Remember I said so for mine I did 4 double crochet in each double crochet space for the first row, and then the second row I did 2 double crochets each, and then the third row I did 1 double crochet. If you like, you can do 4 3 2 1 or 5 4 3 2 1. So that's like 5. So it depends on what you want and how ruffled you would like it to be. So now that we are done with the ruffle, I want to add this to it. So I changed my hook size to 5.0. I changed it to a 5.0. I don't know, I hope you can see. Yeah, it's a 5.0 for this fluffy yarn. So we're going to do single crochet each for this one. So we're not going to do a double crochet for this. So we're going to begin from where we stopped. I stopped here for this row, this point. So I've done my slip knot here, then I'll go into that same space where I ended that row, and I'm going to pull. This yarn can be very confusing, so I've done my slip stitch. I'm pulling it through. I'll do a chain 1. So I'm going to do single crochet for this yarn all around the ruffles. So here we go. So to be able to use this yarn, don't tighten your tension, just make sure it's free, so it's easy to use and navigate. So I'm going to do single crochet all around the ruffle. Just make sure that your tension is not tight, so that you can easily pull through and it's not, there's no obstruction of any kind. So we came upon a stumbling block. I'd already finished almost finished. I had just this piece left and I ran out of this yarn. I know, sad. So I had this white left over from the previous project, so I'm just going to add the white here alone, with here alone with single crochet stitches. Chain 1, go into that top stitch, yarn over, pull through the 2, go into the top stitch, yarn over. Okay, so let's crochet over this this yarn, maybe this one too, over this too. So we're going to crochet over it. So continue doing single crochets until we get to the last space. So a few more stitches and we are done. Last stitch. So somehow just find a place to put this one in so that you can make a slip stitch and end the work. 2 double crochets, pull it a little bit. Here we are. This is what we have. So apparently this piece is going to be like the front of the hat, so that we can have a very good arrangement, I guess. So I would add a rope to secure it on the edge around this space. So I'm just going to make chain stitches. So for the chain stitch, let's put this aside. For the, we're going to be doubling the strand, so I'm going to be using 2 strands. It's always nice to pull it from the middle. So I'm using my 4.0mm hook again. I'm back to it. So 1, 2. So I have done 161 chain stitch. So I'm just going to fasten it off this way. Cut the rope. Let's put that aside. That's quite lock. So this is what we're going to do here. It's quite simple, not so hard as such. So